And we are back with more understandings from the renewed covenant, and we were talking before regarding the nearing line set in Shavuot. The other point is very important, reminding ourselves if the situation was then reversed, and the existing situation that we are living in is a reversed situation of Yom Kippur. That's why the situation is so bad at the moment regarding the nearing line set in Shavuot. There is, however, a reason behind it, and we understand that there is the fake copy of the camps around the world, and we understand that the first day observance is the mark of the beast, and obviously the system related with the mark of the beast, the Catholic system, we understand that they are in fact the mark of the beast. So it's a very clear understanding, because then with it came the stealing of this spiritual line. We understand from the regular Bible that it's very twisted, and then it was modified, and no person should modify the word of Elohim. So then we understand that the nearing line was then taken, but it must return to its original state, and then forming camps around the world as they should be. And that's why then this church, the Catholic Church, became very prominent around the world, because it was to be the camp, not the church. The false church had to be the camps. Then we begin to understand what Shaul meant in Romans, that in Rome they were famous in their faith. Faith comes from the Goys, made tzaddik, or making into tzaddik. So then we understand where it came from. So then this church, the Catholic system that changed the laws, particularly the fourth, from the first day observance, they became then the beast, because they had modified from the original Torah, from the seventh day to the first, and then by doing from the first they became the beast. So then the beast with the stolen nearing line and is extremely contaminated, then they themselves began to construct their own junky churches, and this is the false side of the stolen nearing line. It started making sense. Rather than having the false church, you should have the camps. So then we understand it from Revelation, and this is very easy understanding. In Revelation there is, for instance, a very important part of it, and there is in the very nearing the end, and states very clear in Revelation chapter 20, because then it states in the 9th verse, and they went up on the breadth of the earth. These are the nations enraged because of the camps. This is very, very, very future yet. Yet it states, and encircled the camps of the set apart believers and the beloved city. This is very much further in the future. But we understand that reversing this, we understand where the false side came from. Constantine was a scoundrel. He was a murderer. He murdered his own wife and elder son because they felt what Constantine was doing was wrong. And then we understand it from Revelation, the 20th chapter, that the set apart camps, these means at some point camps that are going to restart. And then the contrary of the camps are the number of Catholic churches. Think of it. It is the reversed. Then we begin to understand where they came from, and they were faithful and during the time of Shaul. Shaul stated himself, because their faith was known throughout the world, the existing world they were living in. They were very famous. And then later they changed the laws. They were envious. And they became the false church. And that's why there are so many of them around the world. That's where they came from. But then the contrary should be true. Rather than they having this nearing line contaminated, it should return to the hands of where they came from the time of Shavuot. And not only this, in the spiritual warfare sensing, there is the point of, we understand, of the kingdom of the dark places, void. They don't have any influence of their own. So then, if we understand the times of Israel and the holy feasts, we understand that the miltha that used to come from the line, the spiritual line given to them, each of the special feasts would be granted a specific miltha with a specific prophecy from heaven. This is what maintains the life on the planet. But then by their stealing of this nearing line, then each of those feasts became reversed. There is a spiritual understanding behind it. So then when we read Ephesians, we understand the formation of the kingdom of the dark places, principalities, potentates, powers and rulers. Those are the main demonic spirits, and they get fed from the stealing of the nearing line. And the structure, the way they use in the earth, is the reverse of each of the holy feasts. Try to understand where it came from and then reverse. Each of the holy feasts, there was a special amount of miltha and a special amount of understanding that came from heaven, but it got contaminated. This is the core and the basis of the dark spiritual kingdom. And then as the camps are being set up, then they are going to start praying. And then those areas, they're going to start being reversed as they were before. This is very important. Because then it's the time when the nearing line is going to be cleansed. So then in Ephesians, Shaul was speaking of this very topic. And then every principality and every power and every ruler potentate is under Yahshua the Messiah. And then the priests in each Kadosh Kadoshim, they would be aware of the influence of the dark places in regards to the nearing line. They would know how to pray and eliminate those from the line. Whatsoever is from the dark is going to be thrown back to the dark. That's why those who do sin against the Torah, they are from the dark. And so far they are scoundreling themselves with the nearing line because it was stolen. And then the structure of the kingdom of the dark places is based upon the reversal of each holy feast. As the priests then, they set up obviously the camps and they begin to pray, and there is going to be revealed to them how to pray and then to reverse those holy feasts where they belong. And then those dark people, they are going to be thrown where they belong, outside of the camp, far away. Either they repent or then they wither. So this is what it means, the structure of the dark place. They don't have any formation of their own. What they have is the stolen from the original holy feasts and is reversed. as they begin to pray, the nearing line is going to be clearer and clearer and clearer, and then the amount of miltha that would have gone to the dark places is going to return to the original. And then the holy feasts are going to start making more sense. And by doing this, then these people in sin, they are going to be thrown back where they belong, and far away from the holy people, the set apart people, and then obviously then the goys would be benefited from. So there is a spiritual warfare side, but it starts with forming the camps, and then the priests, very important, they must return to their posts and start the spiritual warfare. And more and more and more goys would come to the faith as a result of it, because then they would observe the proper nearing line, and they would then repent of their sins. While then the kingdom of the dark places, they would be placed where they belong, in the dark. So there is a whole lot more to study, a whole lot more to do, and a whole lot more to do. And then obviously people, they are from the faith, they must pray, because the priests, they must return to duty. Please stay tuned.